Welcome everybody to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds here. I hope you guys have been doing well, and we got a lot of exciting things to discuss. It's been a couple of weeks, but we got some exciting news for you guys, and can't wait to welcome everybody back. But before we get going, let me toss this over to Hitch, our guy in production, and we'll get everybody back in.
What's up, everybody? How's it the last couple of weeks been? Admiral Tar-Ken online, I see, and the one, the only, DP Brown. What's up, DP Brown?
What up? I'm in the house.
The magic. That is how we do it here. The magic.
The band is back together again.
We are. And it feels good. It feels good to be back.
It feels good, yeah.
We never left. We never left.
So, how's everybody doing? We're all doing well?
Yeah. Yep.
That's good. So, a lot of exciting things going on in the Star Wars universe. We're getting casting news. A lot of things are heating up with Obi-Wan series, so exciting news about that. Theme parks are back to capacity, which means money's up, so that's always a good thing for us and what we love to cover, because the more money Disney makes, the more they can put in their other avenues. So definitely.
More series.
Definitely. And then as we see, a quick side note, with the short-lived success of Black Widow, we'll say, it seems like that Disney Plus premiere may be the way to go for a lot more Star Wars content in the future. So, it's, I don't know, not to the theater's chagrin, but to mine, I'm willing to pay $29, Disney, so keep it coming.
Don't give up. You see, you're rolling over. Yeah, you're not doing good in the negotiation. You're negotiating with yourself. Nobody asked you to give in. That simple.
I'm giving in. Like I said, we discussed off camera. The only thing I'm missing is my cherry icy. Not slushy, but icy. I'm an icy guy. So.
There's some places that have the icy machines. You have to know. That's one of those local knowledge things that you just have to pick up over time. The Sunoco and Crafton, by the way.
Sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 different flavors.
Yeah.
That's what you got. Gotta love the mix, right?
I went to the show to see Black Widow, so it was a good experience. It was good getting back into the theaters. That was my first time back at the theaters in about a year. About a year and a half. Yeah. The last thing I seen was like Harley Quinn in the show, and it was a good experience. Good seeing like the action on the big screen, and just sitting in little seats and stuff among other folks.
How many seats apart were you? Like 3 or 4?
We were definitely apart. So
like a row. Okay, so that's the way that I like to see a movie. I don't want to be near anybody ever. Even before all this, I'm going to be with my date. With my date.
Mm-hmm. And interesting note to the theaters. One of the early rumors are that they are possibly looking at a Solo 2. So that is in the rumor mill that they're looking to do a sequel to Solo, based on, and like I said, it's really these like us fan channels building buzz up for things that weren't quite added when you get to the critics or people who review movies based on I don't even know what criteria, but based on fandom, it looks like Solo 2 is gathering some steam. Like I said, Disney Properties is up, so there's a lot of ideas rolling off the charts.
Yeah, I think that's the next movie we're going to be reviewing, like Solo, as far as the movie category and everything. So really excited about to get into that too, just to see that, because I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in a while either.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen in a while either. So I'd be interesting to watch that again. But
I just actually watched that. I guess about a month ago. The opening scene is so iconic. The speeder chase.
That's one thing I remember from it.
Yeah, just really brought me back to like the original feel of the movie. Just a down, gloves off street chase. Very, very, very good opening 5 minutes of the movie.
And from what I've seen, because I think they're showing it on TNT every once in a while. So if you're flipping channels, you see it on. You grab like a couple scenes, and I love like the cohesiveness of the Star Wars universe. Everything just feels as if it's all in one. Either from the animated stuff to like the movie stuff to like the TV show stuff. It all feels of the same world, which of course it is. But even though you have like different writers, actors, and all that stuff, it's just you just see some great ancillary stuff from like the clone troopers, stormtroopers, and just different bases and stuff, planets and everything, stuff they allude to. It's a good little universe.
Because I think you're absolutely right. I think, but the reason why is all the people that work on Star Wars are fans.
Mm-hmm.
If you any interview from the writer to the person that sweeps up afterwards, costume designers, fitters, all of those people, gaffers, they're all fans, and they know what it's supposed to feel like, and they know what it's supposed to be. So that's weird about Star Wars, and no other franchise is quite like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to see, and they probably would do it for free if Disney wasn't paying them.
Well, I would definitely sweep up. I would definitely pick up duct tape after a Star Wars shoot for free, for real.
We're the type of people that cosplay at the supermarket. You know what I mean? It's not a thing to put on a suit and go down to Disney and shake people's hands, right? It's just
open
whatever.
the door and shop and say, like that. Walmart. I'm good too. It looks real. If you're standing behind me, you think that guy just opened the door with a force.
That's funny.
Before we get into can't forget Kroger for you guys in the Yovac as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta try the Kroger brand. And first of all, if you're gonna say it, you have to say it like you're from Wheeling. And that means it's not Kroger, it is Kroger's. Put that S on there.
So you have the S like Giant Eagles? Because we do Giant Eagles.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right. It's the same thing. We throw an S on every store name. So it's okay.
Walmart.
That's one of the things about being from down there.
Walmart.
We don't put the marts. No. Walmart.
You go to Targets?
You know Targets. I've heard that before for sure. Anyway, that's a dissembling commentary on the accent of the Upper Ohio Valley, a place we hold dear to our hearts for reasons.
Right.
I'm excited to talk about Bad Batch. By the way, I feel like we've been leading up to this for months.
Yeah.
For months and months and months and months, we've been talking about Clone Wars and these cartoons, and I've noticed that immediately the stuff that there's a lot of stuff I'm picking up on here in Bad Batch, and that I would pick up on in Solo that I missed, like the references that missed me, like who the Pikes are, things like that from Solo, and I'm feeling like Bad Batch is very much also anchored in that, in the Clone Wars cartoon, to the point where this is effectively a sequel to the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how much of when before they started with this new sort of generation of content, the one thing I always wondered was what the hell happened after Order 66. And it's so great to see them finally filling in some of those gaps, and not just the myopic character stuff. We're seeing the galactic history play out a little bit here.
Yes.
And that is like, how did the Empire become the Empire? And what exactly did they do that was different from the Republic? These are very bare, rubber meets the road questions that are being answered by this cartoon. Man, there's some really cool stuff going on in the Star Wars universe. And if this is like if Bad Batch is like the junior thing they're doing, right? Because it's the animation. I mean, it really bodes well for what Disney's going to be able to produce. And you figure with Disney Plus, it's almost like, they've sold all the tickets in advance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when Alexander Hamilton said we should fund our debt. You know what I mean? We should fund our debt with taxes for the future. Disney has effectively done that with all their content now. So it's all funded, paid for. They just got to actually produce the stuff and make it not suck. And they've been doing good at that.
Yeah, and I think Disney took the junior out of cartoon. I mean, these are not.
No.
This is full on. Not. I don't mean adult in the adult material meaning. I mean, these are legitimate movies, stories that have been brought into fan scope, fan popularity, and it's great stuff. And like Hitch said, like what happened after Order 66? Well, it wasn't a total wash, right? The Empire didn't, Palpatine didn't get everybody. He missed these 5 guys, right? 5 guys that just kind of flew under the radar. They're all like, what are these? What are these clones that think? What's going on here?
And you would think it would just go straight from the clones to the stormtroopers, but we're not even there yet. We're
close.
Not even close. So they're slow walking a story and showing you how empire takes over after republic falls, democracy falls and everything. And while the main characters are like the Bad Batch, we see like their their adventures and stuff. To me, the real story is the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really our heroes can't solve or take care of themselves and everything. We know the one is going to be Luke Skywalker. We know how that is going to go. But this here, these guys, they are parts of a cog in a machine, the parts of a whole, that eventually gets to that point of when the empire falls. So it's good seeing that these Bad Batch of characters are elements of like the clones, but their chips haven't been. Well, we see later in episodes that they eventually get taken out, but we see how they differentiate themselves from like the other clone troopers that were subjected to Order 66.
Yeah, it's really interesting take as well as you guys are discussing. I mean, when we see these, the birth, I would say, with Suicide Squad, and we'll see if the Marvel does the Thunderbolts, and your Deadpools. These kind of anti-hero type shows have just picked up so much steam that shows that you can have a cool movie that doesn't have to be a straightforward hero, but kind of like the bad guy that's not really bad, but they're not really good either. So I like the theme that they've followed with a lot of these stories, as far as there's no general clear-cut, good guy. There's no clear-cut villain, but these kind of,
there's a villain.
Yeah, but I mean these kind of these A-team type, these setups I really enjoy them.
Yeah, they're like the heroes. They're the new heroes. They've come out of the ashes, and they're fighting for like us.
Yeah,
they're fighting for just the common. But they're also like, wow, this Empire thing. What's that about? They're kind of curious about both sides, because they obviously want to be on the side that wins, because they're soldiers. I mean, and I like one thing I liked about how their continuity is like all the older like World War II movies, Force 10 from Navarro, and The Longest Day, and the way they found within the platoon, within the army, there were these real tight these guys, these soldiers that were just so tight together. They were like first like Black Ops, like they were the first whatever, but
special forces,
they're special forces. It's like clones, but they're special. It's the first time we're seeing this. They're specialists on each one is like the best of the best of the best. But that's what I like.
How about like the reaction of the batch when Order 66? I love how they first immediately just dropped you in on the action. As soon as Order 66, even down to like the beginning credits when it started out with Clone Wars, and then it's petered away, and all you saw was like the Bad Batch logo and everything. So and then we get to our one last narrator.
And that was it. He's done.
And then he's done. He was just what a great bridge to to the batch, because that was one thing I was screaming about. Okay, do we really need this guy the whole time? But Hitch made it like, okay, well, he's necessary to keep redefining the story, just like the movies do, but in like voice form. But how about their reaction to when Order 66 happens? And like their surprise and just their shock that their brothers, even though that they're like, outliers, their brothers are basically just turning on like the Jedi and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that one youngling.
Yeah.
Like, well, like, no, we're not trying to hurt you, kid. And the kid ran off. So they, went, it was a very poetic moment where military might kind of softens itself, and there's people behind it. There's a human being behind it. It's great stuff.
Crosshairs. I'm loving Crosshairs.
What a great character! What a great character! And what I love about this is the way they set us up to having like a baseline expectation for who the batch is, what they do, what they all do, how they interact with each other, all their relationships, by having them be the first part of season 7.
Yeah.
And so we already know that there's a little bit of a rivalry between,
they did that on purpose. They did that.
So this is just good storytelling. So this is, I wouldn't be saying any of this to Disney that they don't already know, right? So I'm just noticing this is good work. But I love the idea that that the Empire has its fingers in Crosshair more, and that what they're able to do is amplify that effect. And I like that there's an explanation for what it is about him that makes him more susceptible to the indoctrination. And I like the way he's being used by the Empire to hunt them. And to put it in terms that are, was my first thought when I'm watching Bad Batch as compared to Clone Wars, is they're not fighting robots anymore. And it is very, very different emotionally to watch them put a bunch of holes in a robot that goes like, oh, I guess I blew up, you know what I mean? And then just goes, and it explodes, versus what they're doing with these when they're shooting people. And it's so like, because Crosshair is like a sniper, so it's like shot dead. Like the people that get hit die.
Yeah.
And that means that this show always has these extremely high stakes, and the villain, quote, the antagonist of this portion of the series is effectively somebody who can hit a target with a blaster bolt that can kill it from a long distance.
Yeah.
It's just really well constructed, and the tone of this series is more grown up because the stakes are a lot higher. There's no other clone that's like, it's not like, oh, something happened to that clone, guess we got to get another clone. There's just none of that stuff, and it's better.
And they built that character strong. Like, he's got no remorse. He's not thinking about the feelings of that target or the effect that target's gone. What about the family?
Right.
That's all gone. And snipers usually have to go through like conditioning, like mental conditioning, to get into it and to leave. Like, when they're done, these guys are like, they're messed up. They got a lot of problems. Crosshair's got none of that. He's just he's a machine.
But I'm looking at like him. Okay, he started out with his brothers at the end of the day. I'm looking for redemption in him somehow, somewhere, because I'm forgetting the new admiral's name. Colonel, what is his name? The guy who is carrying out all the orders for Palpatine right now.
Oh yeah.
Cham?
Kind of a cheeky fellow.
He speaks in that, like, pompous type, I know it all type tone, English type tone, and he, it was in one of the episodes, he was Crosshairs that crossed him, and he didn't really, Crosshairs, the guy didn't really take what Crosshairs was doing, and was like almost like he didn't really need Crosshairs, but just go ahead and carry out your orders. It was sort of a conflict between the two that I'm looking for it to come back later, and for Crosshairs to find, okay, even though he still has his chip in his head, we see from one of the other clones that there is still some element of redemption in some of these clones. They are Order 66 did happen, but there is still something in some of them that haven't overly changed. And I'm looking for that to happen with like Crosshairs at some point. It just seems like he's just so disgruntled. He is just so angry. He is just so. I'm loving this guy.
That's part of the conditioning, right? So you're that angry and that driven and that talented. You're gonna carry out your job without any question. It's when he leaves, when he needs to adjust back to like regular life, that he's going to have a lot of problems. But I don't think he's going to really. I don't think he's going to redeem himself or anything. Do you? I don't know.
It's not so much of like it's a redemption to put him into a point where he comes back to his brothers, because his brothers love him, but they do see that he's like the enemy right now, because every time they cross him and see him, there goes Crosshairs, there he goes and everything. That's just he's still part of the batch at the end of the day. So I'm looking for a storyline to bring him back home.
Right. I was really shocked to see, through a few episodes in the references. We see Cad Bane again, so
Yes.
we
Yes.
well, I've seen that, and it just it's like these tie-ins they do. It just makes you, it like just draws you back in. I mean, the storytelling and the writing of this is so. It's even hard to explain because when you think you've seen it all and you were going to be done with the character, they just drop something in there that kind of like draws you back in even more and just more intrigue. So, um, I'm just excited for this series, and I know there's only a few left, but it's I definitely lived up to the billing. I've heard some people not really like it. I don't know. You have your people that like the clones or they don't like the clones. So it maybe in some eyes too much, but for me, it's not enough. Really, I'm really enjoying this.
The hardest.
I'm. Go ahead.
The hardest thing about the clones, if you don't watch a lot of episodes of the Clone Wars, is telling them apart.
Right.
And that's one thing that I think that I don't have a problem with at all anymore, because the clones that are still alive have all had enough time to develop personality, so they all have very different looks. And of course, the Bad Batch themselves all look very distinctive to the point where none of them look even close to similar. Even in their helmets, they look very, very, very different. So they did a very good job with character design, and they've been doing a better job differentiating, giving the clones more personality. The clone commanders that we see even under Empire control all have way more personality than maybe they even would be due normally. So they're all very three-dimensional. And I think we spent so much time talking about Clone Wars and digesting Clone Wars, we have a leg up because we understand we kind of understand what the clone is, right? So if we see they're almost like Ricks and Mortys, right? We see the clone with the tattoo and the clone with the different color on the helmet or whatever. We know what they're getting at and what makes them different. And really, the performance of the clones has always really struck me as something that's one of the really great, performances in cartoons in the last 20 years, because it's so varied and so great. And D. Bradley Baker just does a great job in this show, capturing, these four characters that are as different as Wrecker and Tech. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That are as different as someone like Hunter, who seems to have. Hunter's sense seems to extend into morality, which is so interesting to think about, because Hunter has a clear idea of what's wrong about Order 66.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Crosshair, because his thing is all about getting the shot on target, doesn't have that sense of the overall context of the operation, which is why Hunter is in charge all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So Hunter understands how to see, the topping on the pizza, the piece of pizza, and the pizza all at the same time, which isn't something I just made up on the spot.
Yeah, he's like Hannibal without a flamboyant personality. I was trying to think about Admiral Rampart. That's his name, Admiral Rampart. He is such a great character. I hate him. I really don't like this guy. But it's a great character that he can bring that emotion out of you, because he is carrying out these orders as if it was just like a thing of glory. It's a scary thing that these orders that he takes, and he's all about lying, playing the politics. In the one episode where one of the characters got shot and everything, and he just straight up lied about what actually happened to him. When it was the Crosshairs that actually shot him and everything.
When he shot the conscript trooper who was trying to have a backbone.
Mm-hmm.
What a great idea. Empire's not about individual initiative. That's that's not in their MO.
Not their thing. That's not what they're going for.
Rampart is straight up he's a soldier, and he's ruthless. He's ruthless, and he's a straight up D.
Yeah, but there's so many interesting things about the policy they're implementing, right? This blockchain policy is something we've encountered in other this isn't the first time we're hearing blockchain code or block code or the Bitcoin or whatever they're using as the encryption for this stuff. We hear it in Mandalorian, and it's another way to tie those two shows together. I mean, you have a lot of sort of back and forth with Mandalorian here, to the point where I'm seeing characters in this show and thinking I can't wait to actually see them in real life, thinking it's definitely going to happen.
Oh yeah,
like when you hear information like season 3 and the next Mandalorian thing that's going to come out is the Book of Boba Fett, and you find out that effectively there is an introduced character that is Boba Fett's identical twin sister. And you think for 1 second,
it's like what? Oh yeah, they dropped that bomb. I was like, what? Okay.
Like you think for 1 second they're going to do that, and this character is not somewhere already in the canon or going to show up in this season 3. I mean, there's so many different ways that they're creating this interwove, connectivity, this interwoven fabric of the Star Wars universe, and it's something that is maybe more than I ever thought they'd do, with these movies when they obtain the franchise. I mean, seeing it like this laid out, how, you can really see a trajectory. You can see how the world that we started in 77, you can see how that was created. I mean, these blockchain codes, nobody can go anywhere without the approval of the government. And that's why there's smugglers everywhere. Right. And that's why there's a billion smugglers, and everybody has secret compartments in their ships, and it's the Old West. It's because of this tightened imperial control that has made it very lucrative to bring people and cargo in and out of places secretly. Yeah. And that's the whole that's the whole basic, world that we're dropped into, the very beginning of that very first introduction to this universe.
And what does Leia say to Tar-Ken? To me, the tighter your grip, the more systems will slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He blows up her home planet. He's like, okay, fine. You're gonna taunt me? Here you go. Saying that.
It's interesting to think about in real time. The amount of time between Order 66 and the destruction of Alderaan is about 20 years, which is about the amount of time between. And this will stamp it for us. The amount of time between now and September 11th. Like that's the same amount of time. And so when you think about that historical epoch, you can really get your hands around it now. I feel like I couldn't have done this when I was in high school because I didn't understand what that felt like. But now that I do, you can feel this epoch, and you can kind of, sense how far stuff can move in that amount of time.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, Star Wars had, distinct eras before, but they were very much like plateaus, and there was nothing in between. And now we get more of the curve, what's going on in between. It's more depth, it's more world building. And they're going to answer the question of what happened to the clones, and they're going to answer the question of why clone troopers or why stormtroopers can't shoot. They're going to answer all this stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully,
they'll never answer that question.
Coming into when watching Star Wars and watching just different elements of it. I'm sitting up here okay, this gives you appreciation of the background and the world building around it. It's like when you're dropped into a New Hope, everything has happened. There's a lot of things that happened before then, but the story itself just strips it down to, okay, this is about a boy and his toy, and he ends up just going into into the galaxy and getting mixed up into this war that's already been lost, or won if you look at it on the other side. But all this, what we're watching now, is filling out all that background and giving it so much context in the world building that it just makes you appreciate how empires rise and fall.
And it's so great to see these are the questions that everybody's had for years. And if today in the Star Wars universe is Order 66, this is the adjacent content. This is the closest you can get to the event that defines the Star Wars. What's special about the era of Star Wars that we experienced first, which is there is no Jedi. That's what's different about the universe.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, man. All these the little things about it. The setup, the world is really great. They've taken the right things from the Clone Wars. They've taken picked up the right strands, and they've basically made it so that I don't think there's a way for them to get away with not putting Cad Bane in one of the next couple live action series.
Oh yeah, he's coming. I mean, just expect that. I love the way they kept the animation style.
Yeah,
they kept season 7 animation and just brought it into this, which was really a great smooth transition for me. They kept the tone with the music and everything. And it brings this ominous tone. If the only thing you have to complain about is Omega in this series, if you even have to complain about that, because she's pretty slick, for a young clone.
I like that character.
Yeah, but they could have easily played her as like, okay, well, she's the avatar for for kids actually getting into this. They could have played her off, okay, the annoying like Orko or
Jar Jar.
Yeah, or something like that.
Gone that way for
just to give us a bridge into like, okay, well, pull you into okay, this is how this character is seeing everything. But they gave her a arc or just some character bits to where she can handle her own. She's smart. She when she got into that spider hole, the monster hole and everything, and just handled herself and everything. That was a really good good decision on her part. She saved the rest of the batch.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, if Omega's the negative though in the show, I feel like this, the show was a hit because you look at, Hitch's favorite negative, Mr. Jar Jar, and they could have taken this, could have went left real fast. I was when I first saw the character, I was like, here we go again. Is this going to be one of those? But it seems like to me they're learning from their mistakes. With Jar Jar, we always said that it's in Hitch's idea, 2 hours too late, but to me, it's just like 10 minutes too late. Like there's certain things I just feel like they don't need to force him. With this, it seems like they're learning, their stories and not too much Omega. It's just like that perfect, that fine-tuned, just amount, the pinch of salt that you just need, to top it off. So, and I can really appreciate, them actually looking. I'm guessing they're reviewing, maybe not from us, but commentary on, things that the fandom didn't like, and they're applying it to these series to make it, a lot more gripping. Because I know some of the things we talked about, even with the Clone Wars, there isn't too much that I can say I was like it's filler. I mean, a lot of this was, stuff that kept me pretty much, interacted and glued to each episode. So it seems like the content's getting better, even though the runtimes are longer.
Yeah.
That could be, each episode could be 3 hours as far as I'm concerned. That's fine. I mean,
I can watch more. So when it ends, like, at like that 29 mark or whatever, I'm like, man, I need more, so it's on to like the next episode. It's a shame that this has to be like a every week thing, but I mean, it is what it is. And it's great that everyone gets to experience this all at one time. If you're watching, from week to week. So, no one's ahead of the game and no one sees what's coming. It was great to see Fennec Strand again. That was a cool thing, voiced by the actor from the Mandalorians. That was awesome.
So on screen right now, there is a character that we know is going to be in that series. Like these are memories that character has, right? So these are events that are whether they are only to color her reaction to things that happen. They are things that are impacting that story right now, and that synergy is what makes all of this run. Because here's why Omega is different than Jar Jar Binks. You ready for this? I can explain to you why Omega's with them. I can explain to you why they didn't kill her, right? Like why they saved her, because they wanted to save that kid, right?
Right.
So they want to save this kid. I can explain to you why the bounty hunters are after her, and I can explain why the bounty hunters didn't just kill her, right? All those plot points make sense. And then when you give a character like that a specific skill that isn't some sort of Mary Sueism, right?
I was about to say that. Right.
She's good at strategic thinking, and so she's like a chess master, which we can understand because there's precocious chess players all here in our species now without genetic enhancement. So, like they'll beat your ass. They're like the most ruthless ones because they don't even know, they don't know to be scared. So that's what's great about that character. And the fact that the thing that's special, the deviance, is, there's some gender fluidity to Jango Fett, which is something that I think is actually good to see. It's good to see a character that's a female being treated no different because of their gender. It's not even something that really comes up except to say this is a like expression of her genetic deviance, right? That's kind of what it is. So it's good.
I was surprised to well, not so much surprised. I was glad they the batch characters ended up letting her hang, with them, because I mean it's a tropey storyline to the kid is like, I want to be with you guys. You guys, I love what you guys are doing. I can do what you do. But I'm not grown yet. They're like, okay, well, you're just a kid. You can't, be with us. But they eventually just let her be a part, even though what they're doing, the adventures they're going are strictly, you should not have a child doing that. But what else can they do?
Not be bringing a child to your scrap heap where there's live engines and gun round, unexploded tank rounds everywhere, right?
But they've done so much work to make this character to have us buy into. Okay, she's good. She provides an element to the batch that they can actually use and actually need, because she's smart without actually being a Mary Sue type. Like Hitch was saying, and
level-headed, so she can bring them back when they start getting a little bit.
Yeah.
She brings them back, and I think they all want to protect her too. So the best way to protect a child is
keep them with you.
Keep them with you.
I got a baby Bjorn. I know.
That's
one way to do it.
When you start going out in public and you go to malls and you go out to dinner, you're gonna crossing a parking lot. You're gonna be like a hawk.
Yeah.
And
but I think what's really cool about Omega is they mentioned that the reason Crosshair is always one step ahead of them is because Crosshair helped make all their strategies. He was involved with all the planning. It's like if I transferred schools to to Wheeling Catholic Central and played against my old high school, I'd know the entire offense, right? I'd know exactly where the play is going to go, and I know all the keys. So what's important is that Omega is her strategies are what is going to be able to beat Crosshair, because he doesn't know them. Right. And so her ability to know, when to insert a variation on the theme, right? That's going to be very important for them, because as we saw in the salvage yard, if they don't have that extra twist on what they're going to do, Crosshair will just know and be ready and waiting for them every single time.
Right.
So the big question is when, and this is going to happen, Crosshair's, sees them again, one-on-one. Is Crosshair's going to take that shot? Is he going to make that decision, to take them out? That's going to be something that he's going to, have to contend with that chip. And like I said, I think they foreshadowed already with the one clone trooper that finally decided to not have anything to do with the new Empire's ways and stuff.
Yeah, I think the quick tie back into that was, how about the interesting point about the fact.
We lost him.
Wow.
Man.
Wait, he was about to expose something.
Exactly, right? Oh, man. Disney had to cut him off.
So
we know his information is legit. Right,
our Mickey Mouse overlords.
Look at that. They're about to cut me out.
Our Mickey Mouse overlords had to cut you off. You was about to reveal something just...
I think it was Donald. That was Donald.
The mouse, yeah. The mouse got me. But no, as I was saying, the interesting thing was we learned from Tech about Omega being, basically the lost, unmodified version of Django, and basically that she is the only fresh source that can basically create a new clone army. So essentially, she is gold to the Empire or anybody wants. She's literally like the key to the next, clone army, whether it be, and maybe we'll find out. Maybe that's why they go to the stormtroopers.
We gotta wait, what, 10 years? Because she's 9, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But if we start telling other stories, we might see her at 27. Because I think that's where the Mandalorian is, right?
Yeah.
She's 27, or we could see her in media focused around the sequel trilogy, where she would be approximately 60-ish, 70-ish, something like that. So she'd be, Well, look, 10 years older than Leia, I guess.
Yeah.
So that stuff it's interesting because the way they're producing all this stuff, it's almost like because they're doing it at different times, like we all sort of get what plot armor is, right? Like we know that we're a sophisticated audience. And so it doesn't matter if I see Cad Bane in The Mandalorian, I'm not going to be stressed about what happens to Cad Bane here in Bad Batch. It's not going to change the story for me because I know killing a character like Cad Bane would be stupid. And Disney wouldn't do that because that is a good character. I mean, I have more respect for Cad Bane now than I did when he kidnapped the kid. And they, you know what I mean? Like these things happened in that story. So between that and if you want to kill him like a man. I'm a Cad Bane fan.
Yeah.
Hey, Cad Bane's awesome. He got a dope name and nice look and all that. And he's a really good character.
Interesting accent. Got the respirator. The cheek.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff about that. The artwork. How would they transition that to a live action? I mean,
it's incredible. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Where is Admiral Rampart in the future? I'm interested to see how they what happens to him. So we of course we don't see him in. He's a new character. We don't really see him in any of the future stories and stuff. I'm just wondering what
Darth Vader takes him out.
He's probably the Force chokes him to death as well.
Just gets on Vader's outside. All his stuff's a success, and Vader's just like, well, I can't let that happen. He just has to deal with it.
He's the first of many Imperial promotions. Okay, this guy's gone, Rampart's gone. Who's the next guy? Who's the next guy?
So we're basically seeing a lot of more of the down to earth, even further. What they was really trying to do in like season 7 of Clone Wars, seeing how things are happening on the ground with how the war has affected everyone, the end of the war and stuff. So we haven't even seen Palpatine, or if we'll ever even see him, in this series or even season. We haven't seen Darth Vader. Like, what is he doing? It's a lot of questions that could be asked, and it would be. I can't wait to see what answers that they bring. They don't necessarily have to focus on them, but it will be interesting to see what Darth Vader is doing right now.
Right.
I want Crosshair to be his dude for a while. You know what I mean? Like they go around hunting Jedi. Could be their job for him.
Yeah.
With their orange vests on, they're out in the woods, shooting Jedi.
Everyone over there. Well, we'll have to track him.
The outdoor channel
he is wounded. We'll have to walk.
I tell you one thing though. I mean, once this season ends, I'm gonna be more excited to watch Rebels.
That's a good long haul, man. But it takes a different sidestep, but it's the way you see this build, and that's where really the Rebels is really what kind of opens up the Filoni-verse, if you will, because it introduces these characters and it really throws you for intrigue because the Tar-Kens and the people of these world. You really get to see different aspects of them, and it leaves a lot more questions. So I think when we get into Rebels, I mean, you guys, that's my favorite series. So I really like Rebels. I wasn't sold on, and you'll see Ezra's lightsaber and some of the things they did with a couple character weapons, but I thought the episodes. I will say, and I'll warn you guys, there is pretty much, I think 2 or 3 at a season. There are some filler in there. And that's where I think it got some of the negative publicity is some of the episodes have run a little too long. And then there are some episodes that you're just like sitting there like, why would you even do this? But
that's what happened with Clone Wars. I mean, it wasn't perfect. It was a few episodes in there. Okay. That you could have skipped and stuff. But I mean, I chugged through them and, you have to get through the mediocre stuff to get to the great stuff. And in order to see the whole context of everything. So to me, skipping, if you're a real hardcore fan, just to skip, I mean, you can, but why?
Skip.
Just watch it. It's only like a half an hour at the end of the day. It's not like you got to watch whole movies and stuff. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into we're going to get into Hope. Hope. Solo. Solo here. Well, I don't know where I get hope from, but we're going to get into the Solo movie, and then we'll see where we go after that, Rebels, and then we're Rogue One. We're looking forward to reviewing and stuff, and then getting into the meat and potatoes of what everybody's been waiting for. The original trilogy there.
That would be a great transition to like build on. I like that. Solo, Rebels, and then Rogue One. And surprise everyone and we're going to do A New Hope right now, live. Everybody knows it. Yeah.
This is what you've been waiting for, But yeah, so anybody got anything else they want to say about these batch of episodes so far?
No, I mean, like I said, I think everybody basically summed it up pretty well. I mean, it's definitely good. It's cut well. And based on what I'm looking at, this is not too. It's only 14 total episodes, I think. So
I think it's 16.
16.
Yeah,
so,
16. So we got a few more weeks left.
Yeah, so it's definitely something to keep you going. And I mean, the voices they even use these characters. It's just like I said, the production just keeps stepping up for me. It's just better and better and better, and I'm just enjoying every week of it.
Yeah. It's I'm glad I was able to hold off and then watch a lot of these episodes in a row. Because to wait week to week is a chore, but it gives you a chance to watch other things too, and get into other stuff. But I'm loving the Star Wars universe now. I'm a fan.
Oh, you're officially a fan now.
I'm officially a fan.
You
brought me in. You got me.
I have Mandalorian Beskar if anybody needs it. Yeah. It's actually heavy as hell too, so it's really nice.
Where did you get that?
My oldest son got it for me for Father's Day. I think he got it from shameless plug. What was it? Saberforge. So who build the lightsabers? Saberforge sells Beskar, so they're really cool. Came heavy. It's like heavy as hell, so it's kind of like a paperweight. But
does it have an Imperial insignia on it?
It does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. I'm packing all my stuff, because we just moved to our new house. So as we know, there's some changes. We have some, some younglings that have joined the council as well. So we got a lot of changes going on. I'm unpacking my stuff. I know you'll love this, Ken. My Boba Fett koozie. This was when Galaxy's Edge opened. This is one of the koozies they gave out. So this is you can't get it anymore. You had to buy it. You had to get it at Galaxy's Edge when they first opened. So you can find it on eBay, but they're like $80.
Wow.
So,
I'll pay it. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, wow. I definitely love it. But yeah, it's a Disney Parks koozie. All kind of lightsabers and things. But yeah, guys, hopefully we can get into some of that. I know Hitch, Ken, they got a lot of toys, a lot of fun things. Hopefully we can start doing some unboxings. I was in the store the other day, and looking at some of this Hasbro just exploding with stuff,
Oh, they're ready to sell it. So, people are ready to buy it.
One final point here before we get off, and it's something we all mentioned off air since we're talking about Boba Fett. What's everybody's, and I know me and Hitch and DP talked about it. Like I said, I understand, but they're still up in the air about this, about the removing the Slave One. I mean, there's been a lot of fans that reacted angrily to this, and it's not officially removed. I mean, it's probably going to be, but it's one of them things, man. It's just, what are you guys' thoughts? And we can even throw that to all the listeners as well, because like I said, it happened kind of abruptly. I woke up one day and told you guys I seen it, and I was like, what is this? And they submitted a name change request for Slave One to be just known as Boba Fett's Starship. So, yeah.
I think it was called Slave One because it was his slave. I mean, it basically worked for him. It was his vehicle, and that was the first one he had. I don't know that there was. I mean, we're putting a very our reality idea of what slave meant. Like Anakin was a slave.
Yeah.
She was a slave, and now I'm just saying, this is just I'm just thinking about this. Slaves in the Star Wars universe were basically workers. They were working off a debt, You know, maybe they were working for the Skywalkers were working for Watto because he was giving them a life, you know, in exchange for working for him, Anakin fixing his crap in his junkyard. He gave him and his mother a life, a place to live, clothes, food. So yes, they were slaves, but they were compensated. And it was a common thing. It was just like, that's what happened.
I think the issue is why would you what is the purpose of naming a ship something, you know, of the sort and stuff.
Right.
I'm either way with it. Like I said, you guys are more horrorcore with, like, you know, the lore and all that stuff to probably care a little bit more. But to me, if you're going to change something that major in a story, then you will have to do it in context. You know, right. Instead of mentioning it out on social media where things could get instantly reacted to, and then you got all this.
Put it in the story somewhere, right?
Yeah, write it in the story so it makes more sense, and you got you got people, you got your fans, you know, buying into it and everything. Right. Don't mention it on social media, and because you're going to get this type of backlash. You know, so that's what it is.
But it does increase the value of my vintage there
you go.
Boxes and toys and everything. It was
go Ken thinking about that money.
So why is Boba Fett's? I think Boba Fett's ship is named Slave One because the word slave in this context means to follow or to assign your controls to follow another ship. And that's something that you would see. I mean, you'll see it in other sci-fi where they'll use that term, or, you know, if you're playing an FPS or like one of those real-time RTS, one of those real-time strategies, you can click follow. That's what that means. Right. And what's happened is that context has been hijacked by our language because we have all this shit
that we attach to it, that we
associate with that word that's real, and it's because it's part of our like world and our society. But Star Wars isn't an Earth thing. And so if
it's not real,
right, if the name Slave One begins to make people think of something it shouldn't, then it should be changed because it's really a translation error, right? Like if it's like how, you know, if let's say there was a guy who designed starships and his name was like Bobby Wang, right? And we had like Wang One, right? And they were like, wow, we really want to change that name because the word Wang makes you think of something besides this guy's name. It's very much the same thing, in my opinion. And I think that to get angry about something like that when, you know, it really has no bearing whatsoever on this. I mean, what they call this guy's ship, you have to know about, like, you have to be the type of person that listens to the DVD commentary to know that. Yeah. I don't see it as a big deal.
I 100% agree with you. I would have never known if, you know, it wasn't pointed out, you know. So it's like, where did they even get to this point to where they felt that they even had to make a name change? You know, was it absolutely necessary? Are you just instantly reacting, you know, to quote unquote cancel culture or whatever? You know, it's not that big a deal. I always get sketchy because I'm a writer, you know, when you start trying to change, like, you know, fiction. You know, when people create things and create words and stuff, they create things based on experience and for reasons and stuff. So if you can have meaning behind those reasons, that's fine. But when a corporation starts, you know, trying to chop stuff up in reaction to maybe like and the thing with nowadays, you got social media voices that are louder than, like, you know, a lot of the mainstream fans or whatever, you know, making, you know, you got squeaky wheels making all this noise where it's really not that big of a deal until you actually, you know, until someone makes it a big deal, you know. So
and think about this also. And Hitch, you were in the beginning, I mean, you kind of alluded to it, in the computer world. Slave is just like, there was slave drives if you built PCs. So you build a hard drive that was a slave to the upper hard drive, the main hard drive. It was important. It was a part of the system. It wouldn't necessarily think on its own because it was controlled by something else, but it had a purpose.
Yeah.
So Slave One is the tracker. So it tracks his prey. Boba Fett was a bounty hunter, and Jango was a bounty hunter, and I believe Jango's ship was called Slave One also. I think, not 100% sure, but so this is part of the story too. And it doesn't have a negative connotation. It's just what it was called, and it was
and you can't wipe out what has already been written before. So you just can't. Right. Even though if you want to George Lucas like the first 3 stuff like how he did and anger the fans like that, that's one thing. But you can't just rewrite stuff from like the past. It's already been written.
Right. But they could just. I mean, the very first episode of the Book of Boba Fett could start out with Boba Fett saying "fine," looking at the camera and throwing a thermal detonator into Slave One, right? His ship, having it explode and being like, "This is my new ship. I'm going to name it, Boba Fett's new ship. Let's do the show."
I think that's where all this came out when they're like, cutting things and editing things. I think that they just really saw the reaction that the potential reaction could have been. And it's one of those risk-averse things. They were just like, you know what? Before we even think about it, let's just... But as you guys said, if they would have wrote it out or, blew it up, I mean, they blew up the Razor Crest. They blew
it up. Yep.
Just blow it up then, and let's just start. I would have rather them blow it up rather than rename it.
Yeah.
That's my gripe. Just get rid of it. If they blew it up, I'm fine.
So, is it like... Is it that they don't want Boba Fett to be a villain anymore? Is that part of it? Is it just? I mean, I
think they're going to make him the anti-hero, like a Deadpool type character. I think that's what he's going to be, and they don't want to have
people that need to be hurt, right?
Right, and he's not going to have that negative connotation that they don't want that negative connotation, a slave, and then so I get what we were talking about that off camera. What DP was saying, it makes sense, but the best thing they could have did is just write the ship out of the show,
the story,
or blow it up.
Yeah. Write it somehow. If you're going to do that, write it into the story and, keep it moving.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. I mean, because there's a lot of people that's been invested into this history that don't like, sudden changes is small and little as that don't like those type of, quote unquote political changes and everything. So
let's not forget that, Star Wars has been criticized for a lack of representation in the past. I mean, the joke for the longest time was that there was only one black person in the galaxy far, far away, and it was Lando Calrissian, right? And that was a legit thing. Carl Sagan said that on the Johnny Carson show in like 1980 something.
Yeah.
So it's something it's not something that isn't a part of Star Wars history, because if you're trying to tell a multi-species, trillion planet, galactic story, the idea that all of the powerful people would be white people is sort of insane. And this is not, I don't even know that this is a similar thing, except that it's saying, look, we're wanting to clarify what the meaning of this is, because we don't want people to get the wrong idea, right? That we're glorifying slavery, because you could imagine if, every week on this show, they're running back, get back to the slave. You know what I mean? Get back to slave one. Like, it's just like, from a dialogue perspective, do you really want, if you're even an actor, like if I'm an actor on that show, do I want to have to yell that every week? You know what I'm saying? Like even if I'm just me, Scott Hitchens, you know what I mean? The actor, do I want to really participate in that project as much if they're not interested in, if they're going to put me in a position where I'm going to get, a super cut of me saying that and it's going to get played everywhere. Maybe I don't even want to do the work. So to me, this is like the sort of thing that people make an issue when there's not other issues to make us think about. And it's almost like, why aren't you more invested in the story? Like, why aren't you more invested?
Why are you nitpicking in a name or whatever when if you don't look at the whole? I mean, it's like headlines and stuff. You look at a headline, don't read the article, but just look at a headline and make your assumptions about like an article or whatever they're talking about based on like the headline that you read. Clickbait is what they call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm either way with it. It's whatever they want. Just make a good story and keep it moving.
Yep, I'm the same as well. But yeah, guys, once again, that was a great point. But I thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We're all glad to be back. Thoroughly glad to be back. And before we get off of here, first off, some of you guys are new listeners, right? So we dove in.
Cleaning.
We got to do some house cleaning before we get off of here. So before we get off, first off, DP has an exciting announcement for everybody in the Pittsburgh region. And secondly, he needs to let you guys know where to find us because I'm sure we have some new followers and listeners. So, DP, let everybody know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you are going to that website and clicking on all our links to follow us on social media at Nerdcyclopedia on Instagram, Facebook, and also on Twitter. Make sure that if you're watching us on YouTube right now, live, you're hitting that subscribe button and also hitting that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. We are currently on Facebook Live and also on Carbonite Bounty BS group on Facebook Live as well. You know, so make sure that you're catching us here. We're going to try to make this a every Tuesday thing. You know, keep it a scheduled thing. That we could come to you with this content and everything. Also subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere that you listen to your podcast, we are there. Oh, buy my comic too, Theme of Thieves.
There it is.
ThemeofThieves.com, people. Make sure that you are checking me out. I'm a good comic book writer. At least I think so.
Nah, definitely. And once again, guys, until next week, this is the way.
This is the way.